Hi. It's been a long time, I know, but I'm showing my face again because I have something for you, packaged for you, just like any video that I do over here on my channel. This is going to be short. If this is your first time checking out my YouTube channel, you're very welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the post notification button because all that we do here is fun-packed with a lot of information. And if you're into photography and filmmaking, you haven't come to the wrong place. You are in safe hands. So I want to introduce you to my first baby, the second, and the third. Even though these lights are very interesting, that's not the subject for today. We're going to talk about something that on a normal, you might not use it if you have this equipment. And if I say this equipment, I'm talking about something that you have to throw out. Yeah, for the purpose of this particular tutorial. And once the gimbal is thrown out, let us look at how we can shoot using just your hands, your body, and movement. Let's get right into it. You know what? This game is so tiresome. You never get it right. But you know, when you are shooting with just your hands, all right, without any gimbal, it makes things a little bit cumbersome and difficult. Particularly when I'm handicapped, when my camera doesn't have any IBIS, that's image stabilization inbuilt. Neither do I have that in my lens, and for that matter, it makes it quite difficult. And so I'm going to walk you through a few tips so that you can also, do well, even if you get on set and you don't have a gimbal with you. That's particularly what we're going to learn today. So let me walk you through just a few tips to get you started out. If you start out in filmmaking and you have just your camera, your lens, and they don't equip you or they don't provide you with any form of stabilization, you can still be able to pull off a very cinematic video. When I entered this space, I saw a lot of wonderful scenery, lighting everywhere, practical lights. This is something that I'm going to really treat in another video very soon. All right, I'm going to go into that. Okay, so I'm having the 6K Pro, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro, which doesn't have IBIS, and of course, gonna be equipped with the 18-35 Sigma Art lens 1.8, which also, unfortunately, yes, and probably fortunately for the case of this particular tutorial, doesn't have IBIS, and I'm going to use just my arms and my body to ensure that I have stabilization. So in case that you are in my situation like this is actually something I've done for myself. I will definitely use a gimbal if I need steady shots, but sometimes, of course, when you're starting out, you're normally not fortunate to have stabilization of any sort, like I am in this situation. So in that case, this tutorial is definitely going to be very handy for you. So let us get into it with the few tips that I spoke about earlier in this wonderful space, because when I got in here, I was so enthused with all the sightings and all that. But let's say, for instance, you are shooting any sort of video and you don't have any stabilization. These tips are going to be very, very, very important, imperative, and it's going to help you out so that you can ensure that you have steady shots when you're shooting. All right, so the first thing that you need to put in mind or have in mind is you're working with a camera that doesn't have image stabilization. That's already established. So there are a couple of things that you can consider in addition to your body movements, which we are going to go into. So what I want you to really pay attention to is the choice of lens. I'm using a 10 to 20 mm Sigma lens over here, and because it's a wide angle lens, even if I move and there's a wobble, you barely see it because of the width of the field of view. All right, so first thing, put in mind, if you're going to shoot without a gimbal and you need stabilization, a wide angle lens is a good choice to go with. All right, so let us go into the body movements, which is very imperative here. The first thing that we're going to talk about is that you need to ensure that your hands are actually against your body. What you don't want is to have your arm moving. All right, don't make your arms move, because you need your body to be as stable as possible, and so with your arms there's going to be a lot of jittery. But if I have my arms against my body this way, I am going to steadily move forward and backwards, either on my feet or on my waist. All right, just like so. But if I want to move further, let's say push towards my subject, I'm going to have to plant my foot forward, 1 foot forward. It could be the right or the left, depending on your weaker and your stronger arm. Right, I'm a right-handed person, so I'm going to put my left foot forward, and with my left foot forward, I'm going to maintain my elbows against my sides, and I'm going to push forward and backwards, just like so. And it's going to ensure that your shots are very steady in movement, and even if there will be some kind of wobbles, and because you're using a wide angle lens, it's going to help you avoid or get rid of the jittery or the wobbles in there. All right, so that's going to add on to the stabilization. So the next thing that I'm going to also talk about is we are going to look at how we can rotate and shoot in a 180-degree angle in that way, like a semicircle, right? And this is kind of very tricky because with this, you have to make sure that you have your feet planted firmly down here, just like so, okay? And once you have that established, you're going to, go this way a little bit and bend your knees, all right? So with your knees bent that way, you're going to rotate just like so. And you lean on one knee, just like so. And you make sure that your arms are against your body, first of all, just like the first step. And you rotate with your body, your waist. Make sure that you don't move your foot, just like so. All right? So now that you've mastered all the tips I've just showed you, I'm pretty sure that you're going to notice that you are kind of restricted with how far you can go with your camera movement, especially when it comes to this particular tip where you plant your foot forward and one back here like that. And you notice that when you move forward with your elbows attached to your sides, you can't go as far, all right? So this time, once that you've mastered the movement that way and now you barely handle your camera or move it with your arms, you can release your elbows from your body, and this time you can go further, right? But ensure that you're not moving your elbows as much, okay? Make sure that it eases in and ease out, just like that. And this is going to make sure that you have much more length and distance covered than you had with this. One bonus tip that I want to give you is that your frame rate should also matter to you. You can shoot with 30 frames per second or you can shoot in 24 frames per second depending on what you're going to use it for. But if you're shooting handheld, most often than not, you are going to find it very helpful if you shot it in 60 frames per second, because when you shoot in 60 frames per second, you're going to be able to slow it down in post, and that's going to equally or additionally ensure that your shots are steady even more. Even if there's a wobble, it's going to make it very difficult to notice. And if you're familiar with Adobe Premiere Pro, then you probably know of the warp stabilizer. It's an effect that you place on your footages to ensure that you have steady, smooth shots.